Hey, what's going on, y'all? Back with another one, back with another one. I just want to talk about a little historical topic for a minute. We're going to talk about the Indus Valley, and it's pretty much I've did streams on it pretty much. And like I told you, um, this this Wednesday night, you're getting this message. It's pretty much like the Indus Valley is very important. People don't talk about this in history. I'm going to talk about it some more, and then we're gonna dissect some of the things, but it's a small piece. This is part one, but there will be a part two to this, and we did some pieces with it, and we talked about everything. We did a live stream on it like 2 years ago, and it's pretty much like I talked about the missing peoples and things like that nature. So we're gonna get into the festivities and things like that nature. So we're gonna get this on the road. Okay, okay, okay. Little tab, my real history. We're gonna get into faces of people, and I'm gonna take myself off the screen here. Here we go. We're gonna talk about it. So, as you can tell, these are the nationalities. These are the modern Egyptians and things like that, and modern Persians, aka the Iranians, or Iranians. Most people say Iranians or Iranians. Those people, right? These are the people in that region, close to Indus Valley, in those regions, and then Egypt. Those type of people. That's what they look similar and close. That's what they're saying. And then talking about the ancient stuff and all that. Okay. Yes, they have a Marine. Everybody's got a Marine branch. I think US got the biggest. They do too, because Ron is close to us competitive wise, but you see how dark those people are. That's what they say they look similar to, right? Then your modern Arabs, okay, that's Ishmael. We already know scripture wise, that's their thing. They do Islam. So Central Asia, what they would say, Russia, Kazakhstan, all these stand places used to be all in Indus Valley and in India and things like that. These regions. Talking about the so-called white man's from Central Asia and all that stuff. It's pretty much, yeah, we ain't gonna get into the details and racial and all that stuff. We're gonna skim through and get to the real. Like I talked about this before in those valley and things like that. So it's pretty much like we see this all the time, but you know, it says in those valley civilizations, that's right up here close to India and things like that. Sometimes around 6,000 BCE, nomadic herding people who some now think of to the Dravidians. That's what they think to be Dravidians, right? But settle into the villages, into the mountains in a region and just west of India River. I mean Indus River, excuse me, the Indus River. But they they gave barley and wheat. That's the minerals that they talk about. They said they gave barley and meat. I mean, they grew barley and wheat, but harvesting it in sickles, you know, harvesting it with sickles with flint blades, flint blades they were using. Lived in small houses built with adobe bricks. But they said after about 5,000 BCE, but the climate in their region changed. That's what happened. That's what they said what happened. But bringing more rainfall, which apparently they said apparently enabled to them to grow and more food and before they get grew in the population. But they began domesticating sheep. This is where they domesticate sheep. I mentioned this before in a stream, and goats and cows. Then the water buffalo. Yeah, see, they was doing all this stuff. It's pretty much like I'm gonna see what's going on. I don't want no laggage. Yeah, because I had to see and read it, appropriate it. So as you could tell, build burial of a woman and the infant in a harpara or something like that. I showed y'all that. This is a little bit of Indus Valley, but you get to see the bones and the writings, and this is the modded tablet, of course. This all culture that used to be here before, things like that of man. So, before Esau and everybody else trying to conquer it, of course. let's say, but then after 4000 BCE, they began to trade with distant areas in Central Asia. Like this is all connected to Central Asia because Indus Valley is in between that. Areas west of the Khyber Pass, but they also began using bronze and other metals. But in time, the total areas of Indo civilization became larger than of that of the old kingdom of Egypt, old kingdom of Egypt around this time. That's why it's important that I mentioned the Egyptians in those parts right here. Their cities were characterized by buildings of elaborate agriculture, but constructed of fire brick with the sewage systems and paved streets. And this is what they're about. And I showed y'all this in a live stream 2 years ago. If you find the Black civilizations and things like that, this will go under the playlist as well if y'all see this or whatever. So it's pretty much like we're gonna do a part two to this Indus Valley. Um, we'll do a part two series, like you know, I'll call it the continuation of Indus Valley. You know, the history of it. And I just the reason why I want to go back to this because apparently someone in my family don't believe that that ain't culture. But if you want to go further back, that's what they was called Indus Valley civilization. Okay, shouts out to the brother with real history www.com. Appreciate you, man, for all the shit that I've used and help build my platform in this content. Y'all can learn this from whatever and do your own research. Man, this is it's edifying. He does the research, man. I wish I was out there traveling with him and get some more information on research, but he does this, man. Appreciate him though. And that's the female, of course. The figure of a Hedis in 2000 to 600 BCE to 5000 BCE. And then you got 2600 to 2600 to BCE to 1900 BCE. So these are the tablets and deities and things like that. So it's just pretty much, and then they said the typical large cities and Mojidoro and all this stuff in the wall, and that's what it looked like afterwards, the aerial areas and things like that. So in those valley, I talked about this in a lot of, and they said the citadel area of the city was built on top of the mount of the bricks, almost about 12 meters high, and large staircases ran up to the side of this mound. But several large buildings, structures on the citadel mounted suggests that this area may have been went to for public gatherings, religious activities, or important administrative activities as well. In the defense in the second century BCE, a stupa or dome-shaped structure serving the Buddhist shrine. You know, the Buddhist shrine. They were Buddhists back then. See, it goes way back, and was built on top of this mount. That's where it is. The Manjidoro, the view of the citadel, the fortress, and things like that. This is Indus Valley, so it's pretty much like the the continuation of I'm talking about the citadel right here in the Indus Valley. Of course, they mentioned the citadel here and there. We're gonna go in right here in this moment, and then of course you see 2300 BCE with this right here in the writing. Of course, this is what the people would look like. Their image of those people. Those people don't exist anymore because you already know what happened. So this is pretty much part one, and we're gonna continue this. I'm gonna save this. It's pretty much I'm gonna stop it right here. I'm gonna save this somewhere. Um, let's say done, and we'll come back to it next Wednesday, and we're gonna go further more. So I got some time for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like we out here, man. We out here. We talking about it, and it's pretty much like we here to stay. Like this history stuff. It's pretty much it's out here, man. Like I got the knowledge over here and just various stuff. And then yes, I'm gonna do it in pre-recorded form once again and play some of my old stuff that what I was talking about, and then I'll break down some of the things I was saying back then. So it's pretty much, got the history. I'll do one piece of an entire recording. So it's pretty much like you gotta understand that. Okay. Let me see something real quick. Realhistory.com, man. Like, appreciate the brother, man. He's got all the knowledge in the world. And I talk about damn near everything on this. It ain't that much to cover. But that was my Wednesday topics that I do. And then I do the political stuff. I put it in my actual content. That's what this channel is known for. It talks about things from perspectives, ideologies, and study where these cultures come from. And it's been reused by other cultures. And it's just like it's pretty much the same, like, we expect it. So it's like, we see this all the time, and then, oh my God, okay, connection to the road. But anyways, it's all good. It's all good. Got the stings and playing in the background. So it's pretty much we're just gonna talk it and make this one like part one is gonna be part one, right? Part two, it's gonna be a little longer. Um, a little longer. So like I said, we just talk about Indus Valley at this point, right? And like I said, the civilization died a long time ago. So it's like, we expected more. And I'm just like, we're gonna talk about it further in the truth in those valley. So it's a unique civilization. We just, I decided to slow it down and just keep it simple as I can. And when they talk about the Citadel right here, and I looked at this, I said, man, this is, when I did a live stream, I said, man, this is awesome. These people don't exist anymore. And that's the civilization got wiped out. Okay. And those people once existed. They don't exist anymore because other cultures came in and breed them out or just conquest them. That happens. It's part of the culture. Conquest. A lot of people call them conquerors. No, let's call it what it is. It's a conquest. It's rulership, dominance of peoples, right? So it's like, you just look at it and just say, hey, and that's what those people would look like. And, the culture is what you got now. Yeah, you got a lot of Asians took in those valley and other cultures, and that's what they look now. So in the Pacific and all this other stuff, Peking Man and all that stuff. So yeah, you got the cultures, what you got now. And I'm just like, but that's in those valley, because you got those people look at that's modernized now. So ancient civilizations, those exist in time, but they don't exist anymore. But you got to understand, this is the type of stuff that you're dealing with, and those people don't exist anymore. And I'm just looking at it like from that perspective. What more do we want? What more do we want that when people are trying to build, foundations once again? So it's pretty much I'm just saying like this stuff right here is something to talk about, like historic wise. Like most people talk about Egypt and all that stuff. I want to talk about Indus Valley. Why their culture was so great. I believe it was great. It matches with the Egyptian culture, but it's pretty much like you just want to understand it and why they were there. And I'm glad I did that stream because I did a playlist on it. I want to see if I did a playlist on it. I did a playlist on it. You can find it right here, so to speak. Did a playlist. Got a lot to unpack here. A lot to unpack here. Let's see the playlist. Oh, trying to fight through this pain. Mm, Fight through this pain. Beautiful playlist. I don't want to go into deep. Yeah, talked about the Eastern European history. Yeah. I talked about it. Indus Valley, dark culture. Did that for 2 hours. Did that for 2 damn hours. I did that for 2 hours, and boy, that what a hell of a stream. I did that a year ago, and that's when I wasn't really into that. I did that a year ago, man. I had so much knowledge of it. Y'all just don't know, man. Y'all just don't know. This stuff means a lot to me. And I'm just like saying, y'all gotta understand this stuff. I don't really care for it, but I always go back to it because that's the one I really care about the most when it comes to history, because that's a civilization that had something that competed with Egypt and all the other empires that you don't hear, because you don't have global news like you have the internet now and modern technology. So like that's the crux of it, and that's the type of the history that I do talk about. Talk about the ones that they don't get no love the most. Everybody else get all the love because we always talk about it in the so-called conscious community. To me, I talk about everything. I go in depth. What makes them so great? And then you look at the deities, what you got today. They still worship idolatry, of course. They didn't last in the name of Yah, but they had a culture and a civilization that existed. So they showed you how they live, and they had basic, the dietary was good, but the idol worshiping was worse. The religion just, is against what I'm for. But it is their culture. Everybody was different. Everybody had different ways of practice, and it's pretty much the same. But then again, people just co-sign it. You know. But after that, until next time, we'll do a part two to this, and it's gonna be a little longer. And then, of course, I'm gonna add some my commentary later. So with that, I'm signing off, and I'm out, and shalom.